Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. It's your host, BC, and I'm very excited about what we're going to be talking about today. I've thought a lot about this. What's the best way to introduce this topic, but this is something I get asked a lot. It's a question I get asked a lot. And what that is just like, how do you find your passion in life? How do you find what excites you? What do you do to do it? How do you go and find your passion and then pursue it? Because this is difficult for a lot of people for many reasons, and rightfully so. It's hard and scary at times to follow your passion, your dreams, and ultimately do what you want. That's hard for a lot of people, and it's hard for me. Like, no one is exempt from that. But this is something that once you figure out, your life's going to get a lot more joyful, I think. As one sad thing that I've come to realize is, like, there's so many people out there who just hate their job. They hate what they do. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a job. It's just they hate what they do. They hate their day to day. They hate, waking up to the same thing every single day just because they never tried to find their passion, really. And that might not be the case for everyone, but I think a lot of people are in that situation. Because it is true. I get asked this question a lot. But the truth is, when it really comes down to it, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. But that said, there are some strategies that you can use to help you find your own passion and kind of uncover that for yourself. Really push yourself and try new things. Because that's what really has to happen if you want to find your passion is we'll go into this in more depth, but you have to experiment. You have to be willing to try things. You have to put yourself out there, and at times it can be scary, but what's on the other side of the fear? That's something that I talk a lot about, at least with like my close friends. Like, we have conversations all the time, and they say things like, hey, I want to go try this, but I could X, Y, and Z happen. Like, they basically just talk about some negative outcome that could potentially happen, but hasn't yet. And in my head, it's like, hey, well, listen, you don't even know what the outcome could be if you go try this one thing. Obviously, make it within reason. Like, don't say, I want to go and just drop everything I'm doing and become a professional wingsuit person. That's probably a bad call, especially if you have like a family. You don't want to leave them behind, because most likely you'll get crushed unless you're trained in that. Then if that's your passion, you want to do it, go for it. But we're going to go just through 6 different strategies, like I mentioned, to help you uncover what your passion is in life. And again, it doesn't even have to be your passion. You could say this is your purpose in life. You could say this is just some exercises to try when maybe you're a college student, you're just fresh out of college, you're trying to figure out what to do for yourself. So we'll go into some of these things, but the first most important thing that I would say is like when you're trying to figure out what your passion is, you need to spend time with yourself. Like, self-reflection involves taking time to examine your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. Meditation's a way, journaling is another way, and that's personally one of the ways that I do it, is I'll just sit down and write down some things. Like, write down how my day went, and based on that, I can kind of see areas that I want to improve on and get better at. But that's what I would say. Like, go ahead and just spend time journaling, meditating. Maybe you can talk to a friend, a mentor even, something like that. But when you're feeling stuck or unsure about what you want to do with your life, you need to really take time to focus on your past experiences, figure out what you're interested in, and pursue those. I gave this advice to my cousin the other day, actually. He's really into in theater and performing arts. And I think that's awesome. Like, a lot of people don't do those kind of things anymore. And I think it's because they're just scared of, oh man, how could I make money in these things? But what I told him to do is just keep doing it. Because ultimately, if he's going after what he's excited about, then jobs will come up, hopefully within his industry, and he can find something to do to help provide for him and his future family. But I think I was thinking about this too. I value learning, right? I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast, they would quickly identified that I'm someone who's preached that and kind of been annoying about it. Like, hey, if you want to progress in life, you need to learn. And I still stand by that a lot. There's a couple things I want to mention on this though. One, I would challenge you to learn what you want to. And what I mean by that is like, if you're interested in space, but your job is in sales, and I'm just taking myself for example here, I'm going to go learn about space because in my opinion, you learn the best at your job, or you learn the best about like the industry you're in when you're actually working the job. And so I'm going to go learn about space, and that knowledge of like sales is going to come naturally if I'm continually asking questions at work, trying those things. Obviously, if you read a book about sales, it might give you some tips or tricks to help cut off a couple learning curves for you. But like, I think it's much more valuable to study and learn about things that you're interested in and excited about, because ultimately that helps you still grow and develop personally while you're still getting better in these other aspects of your life. So don't be scared to study. Don't be scared to learn about or try things that might necessarily not have any like real monetary value to them, but just try it and trust me. Like, the more that you learn about things, you'll get smarter in all aspects of life. Like, learning is key. And a lot of that has to do with like, what are you interested in? Don't lie to yourself and just try stuff. And this goes into the next strategy you can use, which is setting goals for yourself. And if you listen to podcast 18, it's all about setting challenging goals for yourself. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but ultimately what these do is setting goals for yourself just helps you stay focused and work towards finding things that you are passionate about, or in other words, it might help you find your purpose in life. So if you're just setting goals for yourself, like, hey, I'm going to try and I don't know, go and explore some certain career path. I'm going to talk to 5 doctors this week and see if I want to become a doctor or dentist or put in whatever role that might be. But set some short-term and long-term goals for yourself. They should be specific. They should be measurable and achievable too. But that's what I would say is, like, if you're stuck trying to find what you're interested in, set a goal to research at least 3 different companies or organizations that kind of align with some of your interests. If you're someone who's interested in gaming, go try and find 3 different gaming companies, learn about them, learn about the organizations. And if you're still unsure about what you want to do, you could set a goal to try something new every single week. Like, that could be a good goal. Like, oh man, I don't know what I want to do yet. Maybe I'll try a cooking class this week. Oh, cool. That could open up the door to becoming a personal chef or something else, just ratatouille in the world. You might do that. Just get a little ratatouille here and there. Or like, if you're interested in maybe doing like marketing or something like that, go find someone who does it, ask them some questions and see if that's something that you're interested in. And this ties into the third strategy, which is probably the most important, and that's experimenting. Try new hobbies, try new activities, explore different career paths, because doing so can really help you discover your passions and your interests. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. A lot of people are, but I'm telling you, if you do, there's so much more on the other side. And it's like the question I posed at the beginning of the podcast is, what's on the other side of the fear? If you're really scared to try something new and you do it and you absolutely fall in love with it, like for example, it could be sales. That's great. The other alternative could be you try something new and you realize you absolutely hate it. Great. Don't spend any more time on it. But at least you know that's not a path that you want to take. But trying to get out of your comfort zone is something that a lot of us face adversity in doing. It's not easy, and our lives are set up so comfortable to where, when we do want to try new things, step out of our comfort zone or try and grow in some aspects of our lives, we get so many different opposition. Like, it's hard. It really is hard because our lives are set up for comfort. But if you go past that and you try and push yourself and try new things, I'm telling you, you will learn so much more about yourself than you ever thought you could. And it's because you're pushing yourself. That's kind of what's fun about experimenting, is you find who you are through trying different things. And it's one of the most important parts, but in order to find the things that you want to go try and experiment in, you need to do that first part, which is self-reflect. Think about it. Like, what do you want in life? What gets you excited? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Just try new things. And then once you do that, like, you can start conducting some research to help you gain a better understanding of different options that are available, whether it's career-wise or if you want to get better at a hobby. Take archery, for example. Most likely you're not going to make a career out of archery unless you're Cam Hanes, but say it's a hobby that you want to get better at. What you're going to do is research different people who could teach you, who could coach you. You're going to research the best equipment. It's all kind of going into it. But if we want to take the career example, say you're interested in pursuing a career in marketing, go check out what different roles are in that industry, because in marketing, there's so many different ones. And that's what's kind of cool about this part of researching, experimenting, is you can go try different roles. You can ask certain people who work in those. I worked with my brothers to start an agency that did marketing specifically. And there were so many people there who had different job titles. Like, one person was a graphic designer. Another was focused on email outreach and marketing that way. Another person, me, was social ads. And then, there was different people who worked on different types of the business. But it was all different. And that was what was cool, is everyone had different roles, and I couldn't go do graphic design. I'm not talented in that aspect, but I could kill it pretty well with social ads. And so that's what I'm saying is, like, there's so many different things out there. Research, figure out what kind of gets you interested. Are you interested in public speaking? Maybe you should go try and figure out what career paths get you excited about public speaking. You can go be a politician if you really want to. Anyone can be. And kind of makes things interesting that way. But never don't, like, how am I trying to phrase this here? Don't not try something because you don't know much about it, if that makes sense. Like, do your research. Just because you don't know anything about it and it's kind of scary, that might, make you be like, okay, I can wait for a second. But just try. The other thing too, and this one's very important, is seek guidance. That can look like a lot of different things. That could be through books. It could be through friends, family. It could be through your own research. But I think what the most important part with this would, in my opinion, is go find mentors. Go find people who have the life that you want and ask them questions. People are honestly going to be flattered by that. Like, if you go and you see some guy walking down the street, okay, no, maybe not, bad example, erase that. If you see someone who you've known for your entire life, he's a family friend, they have a great family, he's got a great career, and it's kind of everything that you think that you want, go talk to him. Be like, hey, you've set up your life in a way that I've really admired, and I'd really like to just ask you a couple questions about how you found what you'd like to do, and those kind of things. And people are going to be like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you, no problem at all. But this is an important part, because if you go seek mentors who you think that you want, like, part of their lives, or as a weird way as that sounds, you can find whether or not, like, you actually do want that. And this goes back to experimenting, is you can go sit down and talk to that same person who you admire in terms of, like, their family, their career. And you could say, okay, well, tell me about what you do, like, what you do on a daily basis. Like, what's your day-to-day look like? Tell me about your routines. And they could tell them to you, and you could be like, that sounds horrible. I never want to do that. But if you go and you talk to these people who you admire, and you try and find, like, people like mentors, career counselors, life coaches, they can all provide you with valuable insights that help support you as you navigate the process of finding your passion, finding your purpose. If you're ever feeling stuck or overwhelmed, what's one of the best ways to vent? In my opinion, it's talking to a friend. And that's how I look at mentors, is who do I, as weird as this might sound, who do I want to be a better friend to me? Like, who would I rather have their friendship in my life, and how could I make them be my friend? I've talked a little bit about the CRO at the company that I work for. He's, in my opinion, this person who I've described as someone who he set his life up exactly how I want it. Like, he's got a great family. He's got a great job. He seems like he loves life. Like, the dude gets out and rides motorcycles all the time. And I think it's awesome. And so I've talked to him and I've asked him if he would be a mentor, and we have monthly sessions where I just talk to him and ask him questions, and he provides feedback and gives me insights. And it's pretty easy. Like, that initial step of like, hey, will you do this for me? Like, will you be my mentor? Was a little scary. But because of that, like, hey, now we're friends and now we're talking. And I actually really value everything that he's taught me so far. But that's all I'm saying is, like, if there's people out there like that you know, don't be afraid to go talk to them and try and ask them questions. Ask them difficult questions. Really try and push them, you know? Don't be scared of that. A lot of people are, and you're not. So go do it. The other thing too is, like, as you're doing all these things, as you're continually self-reflecting, you're setting goals, you're experimenting and trying different things, you're researching, you're continually seeking guidance, you need to be patient. And that's the sixth and final strategy for finding your passion and purpose in life is, like, be patient with yourself, because it's going to take time. We have an entire lifetime ahead of us. And there's going to be different points where we're going to be getting after different things. Like, for example, I was in marketing and now I'm in sales. I was a volleyball player, but now I run marathons. Like, we're all doing different things and we all change throughout our lives. So all I'm saying is you need to be patient. Be patient with yourself. You need to find ways that you can continually stay motivated. Keep taking action towards your goals. And if you're still not sure what you want to do with your life, remember that it is okay to take one step at a time. It's like that one song from, what is it? Is it the Santa Claus movie where they're like running around with Jack Frost? They sing a song where it's like, put one foot in front of the other. That one. That song. And that's all you got to do. Just be patient and keep putting one foot in front of the other until you figure out what you want to do. And when you hit those goals that you set for yourselves, remember how important it is to celebrate. Because it is. It's difficult to try and put yourself out there. An example of this could be like, okay, I'm going to set a goal to go to a couple networking events a month. And when you do that, be proud of yourself, because people like to stay inside. I think a lot of that has like happened from COVID or anything like that. But like, we've all gotten used to staying inside and taking the easy route. Like I mentioned, we've set our lives up for comfort. But once you push past that comfort and you try and challenge yourself, that's when the real growth happens. And that's when you start to find things that you like to do. And that's really where personal growth happens. Like I said, I kind of took an example. I did some research about, like, okay, well, how can people relate to this? I'm not saying you can relate to this, but if you take like Gandhi, for example, his entire purpose in life, like from reading books or reading articles and things about him, is his passion was for social justice, and he wanted everyone to feel equal, really. He began to question like the racial discrimination that he experienced from his school, and then realized that like he could change the world by taking like a nonviolence approach. So throughout his life, Gandhi engaged in self-reflection and sought guidance from spiritual mentors, like activists he would talk to a lot. If we want to really break it down, you can look at it like he set goals for himself. He organized protests, peaceful protests, but he was really advocating for Indian independence at the time. And he experimented with a lot of different ways of protest, but mostly nonviolent. Anyways, this entire example of Gandhi is like he went after something in life because he tried it. He knew it was something that he was passionate about because it was something that interested him, because he faced it. He faced a lot of racial discrimination, and all these different things. And so he realized that, I can go change the world if I figure out how I can, protest these different things that I'm getting treated a terrible way. I can go protest this and maybe open the eyes of people to say, like, race isn't, like, we're all the same, but race is just how you look. And anyways, might have been a rough example about following your passion, but Gandhi, if you want to think about him, and from what I've read about the guy, he didn't expect any monetary value to come from what he was doing. He just wanted the world to be a better place. He wanted everyone to be happy. And if that's your passion, if it's making people happy, then figure out what you need to do in order to make that happen. You could be a counselor, a social worker. You could try a lot of different things to help people feel happy and know that they're loved and cared for. But another thing to note that's very important about like finding your passion is you're going to have setbacks. No matter what, like no matter what you do in life, you will have setbacks. There's going to be days when you wish like everything just kind of happened easy. And it's going to be really hard to push past those thoughts and to keep going. And it's going to be hard to keep trying to go pursue what you're interested in when you don't see any reward coming from it. But I'm telling you, if you just keep at it, you will be good. You will find what you want to do. You'll find what you're passionate at, and you'll find what you're good at too. And during the process, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn a lot about your work ethic. How much work are you willing to put in order to find what you're interested in and what you're passionate about? That's a good question to ask yourself. Like, how much work am I willing to do? Am I not happy enough with my current life where I need to explore into these different things? Like, when you're doing self-reflection exercises, be honest with yourself. That's the only way that you're going to know whether or not you're going to find what you're excited about and what gets you out of the bed in the morning. It gets you jumped out of the bed, gets you excited about life. You have to be honest with yourself. That's another thing too that I think a lot of us face. Myself included, like with social media, you kind of think you get these like perspectives on how you should live your life from other people. You see someone who's a lot like very successful through the eyes of social media, and you're like, man, so if I want a happy life, I got to have a Lamborghini. Like, those are the thoughts you might have. No, that's not the case. And most likely that guy's life that posted that picture, guy or girl, I don't discriminate here, come on. That person who posted the picture, most likely they're not living a life that they're happy about, because they're probably trying to live up an image or live up to an image of themselves. Like, go get the nicest cars, go get the nicest jewelry. In order to do that, they're probably working themselves into the ground and trying to really just put up a weird like facade of their life. I think a lot of us see that kind of thing and kind of feel like that's on us too, right? Like, oh dang, like there's no way I can find joy in this life if that's what I have to do. But it's not. And if you want to figure out what you're excited about, what gets you pumped, spend time writing down things that you like. And then based on that, figure out if there's a path to make money on those things. Or if it's like, I want to spend more time with my kids, like I'm passionate about spending time with their kids. Sit down, write out a plan of how you can be more efficient at work so you can spend more time with your kids. Like, figure it out. And that's my challenge to everyone here is, if you are listening to this and you're actually a listener of the podcast, take 30 minutes tonight, like when you get home from work or wherever you're at, take out a notebook or go get one from the store. You can go get like those spiral notebooks for 50 cents and just write out 10 things that really excite you. Just 10. And don't try and think about like, okay, I can make money from this thing. No, just write out 10 things that make you happy. For me, it's like books, working out, people, and like I could say like technology, space, all these things. That's actually how I found my job that I'm at right now. Is I wrote down a list of things that get me excited, and I circled people. Like, I love talking to people. I love learning their stories and having conversations with them, because that's where I get my joy from, is just having good conversations with others, having good relationships with them. And so I thought, okay, well, what kind of career can I have where I talk to people? Okay, I could be a teacher, I could be a counselor, and I don't really want to do those two things. And so for me, it's like sales could be fun because I'm talking to people. I'm trying to solve problems through the solutions that we provide. And I get to see, kind of like a burden lifted off these people's shoulders after we take over and we help them out, our company at least. And so that's how I found where I was at. But I spent time thinking about it, writing down a list, and then exploring, like figuring out, okay, if it's people, let's research what industries I can go into. Okay, if there's this sales jobs, because there's different sales jobs, which one am I most interested in? Is it like, do I just want to make cold calls all day? Hell no. Do I want to like go door to door to people? Yeah, I do, but not every single day because that would kill me. I'd be so tired. And so I found a balance for it. I found everything that kind of figured it out. Of course, it's still a job, so there's difficult things that I have to go through. There's mundane tasks that I got to try. But all I'm saying is you need to be honest with yourself when you're going through and you're trying to figure out things that you like. And when you do, hey, try it out. Like, do the research, put in the time, put in the effort, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to get past that comfort zone, push yourself, and then learn about yourself too. So try it out. And I'm telling you, you're going to spend a lot of time with yourself because these thoughts aren't going to go away. And if you are interested in actually trying to find your passion, this is going to be on your mind all the time. But it's a constant battle. So you can self-reflect once. You're going to have to do it again in a week. Like your values are always going to change. And I think that's because the more that you learn about yourself, the more you're like, okay, well, I want to spend more time focusing on this aspect of my life. For me, education has become really important, like learning about different things. Like I mentioned at the beginning, like I go and I try and learn about the most random things. Like I'm watching this documentary on Netflix right now called Ancient Apocalypse. It's great if you like history and stuff, but basically the guy's like, oh yeah, there were civilizations that were more than 12,000 years old. And for me, I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm going to learn about this. And so I'm learning all about that kind of stuff. But all I'm saying is like, just be well versed in all aspects of life. Go and try and educate yourself. And that's been very important to me recently. And because of that, like some of my goals have changed, some of my priorities have changed, and I feel like I'm getting better. And I feel like I'm becoming the person that I want to be. And all I'm saying is as you become more self-aware and you reflect a lot and you're honest with yourself, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to become the person that you want. And you're going to become who you thought you would. I heard this quote the other day, and it kind of hit me. But it was, true hell is you meeting the person that you can become. And I heard that quote, and I just was like, dang it. That sucks, because I can never be comfortable if that's the case. But it's also hopeful. Like, who can I become? And as you start exploring your passion, you start exploring what interests you, you're going to figure that out for yourself. And that's it for this week. But try these things. Try these strategies. If you're not happy with where you're at in life, be honest with yourself. Spend time reflecting, and I promise you, you will figure it out. So keep getting after it. Put in the work. Put in the effort. And I'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Peace out.